Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am just going to do my little intro and then we're going to dive right on into these decks. All right, stay tuned. All right, we are here discussing my 2020 edition of my top 10 tarot decks that I use for my professional love readings and my top 10 oracle decks. So I'm going to try to jam pack as much as I can and not keep you all here too long. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Hello. Hi, Jen. Thank you for joining today. I appreciate you. And yeah, thank you. So, love readings. Now, I have some disclaimers before we dive into my top decks. The first being is that I do believe that you really only need one deck, one tarot deck. And if you're like me who likes to combine tarot and oracle decks together during readings, maybe one oracle deck. I do believe that you don't have to have a bunch of decks to do a reading. You really don't. But there are some of us who that's the type of reading style we have and possess. So um, that's where I'm at in my reading practice. Sometimes for just when I do love readings for myself, I don't have an elaborate spread. I use one deck, one tarot deck, and sometimes I might have an oracle deck as a clarifier on the side. But I'm also a maximalist when it comes to certain things. So, there's that. And I don't make any apologies for it. So this video or live today is more for those who know that they like to explore different tarot and oracle decks when they're doing professional readings or just simply readings for others. But for me, I do professional readings. And we'll talk more about that, right? So what is my definition of professional? Well, I quit my very long-standing professional business corporate career, worked for the public sector for state government for a year, right? And then I was like, I'm done with both private and public sector. I want to do this thing full time. I want to read full time. So from like late 2016 to, I don't know, 2020, I was doing readings on the side. And I have an Etsy shop and I have a website where people would go and book virtual readings. I do video readings, live like Zoom readings, email type readings where I write out the answers, audio where I do an audio clip. So that's for my private practice. My favorites sometimes are when people hire me for like Zoom media events. So during the pandemic, I was booking with people who wanted to have me during their unit meeting at work. And we would do a reading, like they they hired me, one particular lady, to treat her boss to a reading. And we did it during one of their unit meetings, and it was a lot of fun. So I have a lot more like freedom with my private practice. Now, I also work the hotlines. That's another bulk of the reading experience that I have. It's a different type of clientele, a different kind of pace, and I like both. I like hotlines where sometimes I just need a reading where we're one and done, and that's it. Maybe I'll hear from you again, maybe I won't. I don't know. And then I like my private practice because that's where I'm creative and it's where I'm using multiple decks and things like that. So that's what I mean by like full time. And now I do it full time. I quit my job, as many of you know, my career, and I moved to a new country so I could devote to like working on my private practice and building up my reading business. So I spend waking moments, if not doing reading stuff, focusing on marketing. Etsy kind of makes it easy to do that, but still, you've got to got to put yourself out there. Um, and there's my website that I have to manage too, and it's a whole different kind of like ball game than on Etsy in terms of user interface of setting it up on your shops. So I have to constantly switch hats and be technical support, marketing director. I'm the CFO, I'm the CEO, I'm the one woman operation. So I have to spend days just working on my private business and then just days like alternating. This day I'm doing hotlines. The next day I'm focusing on my business. And it's from the time I get up to the time I go to bed because I'm kind of like workaholic tendency kind of person. So, but I just wanted to kind of let you all know that I'm doing readings a lot now. I'm happy. It's my happy place to do them, but I have to also like recognize that I'm doing love readings, and love readings take on a different level of kind of energy demands. And I talk about that in my Tarot-thon, um, what was it? Tarot-thon live stream, where I talk about the heart of the matter, tips and things about reading professionally or reading for other people. It can be taxing. So I have to, in my work week, I have to give myself a day or two off so I can kind of energetically kind of get restored and get back on track. So I'm still figuring out the rhythm, but I'm enjoying it. And yeah, so yeah. Oh my goodness, there's folks coming in. Hi, Dion. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're here. Oh, okay. So I have a list, you guys. I have a list of my top 10 tarot for love readings, and then I have top 10 oracle, and I have 2 honorable tarot deck mentions. Another thing I have to preface this by is that when I do hotline calls or whatever type of hotline medium I'm doing that day, whether it's phone or video, because the hotlines you can do videos, you could do video chat, etc. It's similar to my offerings that I have in my private practice, but I only have time to really work with 1, maybe 2 decks. My trusty tarot deck, which I'll talk about in a moment, and my trusty love oracle deck. That's it. Sometimes I might incorporate 1 additional deck to kind of like for oracle closing in my readings, because I like to like tidy things up with the closing message, especially if the tarot message is a little rare, like a little hard to digest for the querent. I like to have an oracle message to leave them with. So I don't have a lot of time or energy space to be trying to have elaborate readings like I can in my private practice. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy them. I do enjoy hotlines because, yeah, they ask you similar questions over and over and over again, where it's about their love life, whether they're looking for love, whether they are kind of talking to someone and they don't know how that other person's feeling about them, whether they have been in a relationship and now they're having issues, or now they're trying to end something, or maybe they have an extramarital situation going on. There's all sorts of love things that people are asking about. So the hotlines is a hotbed for those kind of questions. I think that's what helped me to really fall in love with doing love readings, and the hotline readings kind of helped me in my private practice. And the things I do in my private practice feed and support the type of work I do on the hotline. So I like both. Let's see who's hello. Hi, Scott. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, let's see. Okay. Who else that came in? I'm like, did I miss someone? Okay. All right. So I have to give you all my little disclaimers and whatnot. And yeah, let's get on to it. And feel free to ask me questions during the live, whether you want to ask me questions about particular oracle or tarot decks that you're thinking about using or you have used and you want to suggest that in the chat, feel free to do so. If you have questions about delivering love readings, I mean, I can't go into too much depth. We could always do another live to talk about such things. But if you have a question or a comment, just throw it in the chat and I'm going to periodically stop to look at said questions and comments. All right. All right. So we're going to do, hold on, I'm dropping feathers. We're going to do tarot first. I hope that's okay with you guys. Hello. Hi, Elizabeth, Magical Unicorn. I like your name. Y'all know I have a thing for names. So I'm just getting my little ticker ready here. Okay. Okay. Cool. Just reading the comments. So in case people tune in late while I'm rambling on about these cards, they can see we're discussing right now my top 10 tarot decks as of 2021. I have in the past done these type of videos throughout the years of my channel, and things have evolved, and then there's some things that actually stayed the same, but things have evolved, and I like that. I like variety. Number one top deck that I use in professional love tarot reading. So this would be the mass market, and I bore you guys to tears, I know with this, but it's the mass market Light Series Tarot. Now, I should have pulled out the fancy one I have, my indie version, because this one's so banged up. Here's the Lovers. This deck and I use this deck probably for 90% of my readings now, because it's super important to build a connection with the working deck that you're going to use in professional readings. So some people are able to shift gears and use multiple tarot decks in different reading settings. But for me personally, I have to have a strong working deck for several months or years to build a bond with that deck. So when I look at cards and I'm like, I don't know what spirit is trying to tell me about this person's situation. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I do. We've been here before, or I know this deck. This deck, I feel like we've connected. So this deck, the symbolism works for me. It works. So yeah, it is an easy reader. Yes, it's my workhorse deck. It is my workhorse deck. Two, I agree with you, because I just was not expecting to hit it off so well. And I don't know if it's I don't use the indie version because I'm just trying to baby it. And that could very well be it, because I have the original Ten of Swords and I am also a collector aside from a reader. But I don't think it's it. There's an actual, real connection that I have specifically with the mass market, the Hay House, no less. I don't understand it. Let's see what you guys have to say. So Light Seers is an easy read for me. It is very versatile. Like, I can use it for career and life purpose readings. I can use it for, love readings. I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden for all the different types of readings there are. You know what I mean? It's super versatile. Hello. Now, Melanie, do I dare say your name? Or Okimama? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Hi, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining. I'd be looking for you, and here you are. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, light seers. I use this for my readings on hotlines, and I use it in my private practice. It's super beat up. Look at this. It's like bending like this. I wish, and maybe you guys could tell me, I wish that the Light Seers mass market is like the stock that's in the Sacred Creators mass market oracle on Hay House. I have the Sacred Creators by the same creator, Chris Ann Donnelly, and I love what they did, Hay House did with that stock. That's the latest, I think that's the latest tarot deck. Not tarot, but like oracle tarot size deck I got from Hay House. And I just wish that they would do that with light seers. Like that's the one thing that makes me sad because I've bent them up bad. It's bent up. It's not really pretty, and I'm gonna have to probably retire it at some point. I'm sad to retire a deck. I have a hard time retiring decks. I don't know. Yes, definitely check out her channel. She is awesome. She's awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, number two. So I'm gonna try and keep going because I like to chat about these decks all day. Okay, this one is probably my second runner-up in terms of how often I'm using this particular deck in love reading specifically, right? And that is my Smith-Waite Borderless edition. Another mass market, okay? Mass market, because why? I'm putting a beating on these cards as I use them. So you guys have seen this. This is not a surprise. I like using traditional decks, especially like for my video chats on hotlines. I usually use indie decks for my private practice, or I'll use fancier oracle decks. I don't know. I go all out. But I use mass market for like my hotline calls. I don't know. There's probably nothing to that, but in my mind, I'm like, this is just straight up, traditional tarot. And I think sometimes certain clients appreciate seeing a tarot reader using something that is traditional that they've seen in the past. And I love when I have an interactive reading going on where the client is able to say, oh my gosh, I see this is like this situation and I'm seeing it so clearly. Like they start to feel the confidence of picking up on what they see in images. And I don't know, I feel like we've all seen these a lot growing up, whether we thought we were looking for them or not. And it just turned out that tarot readers were like, oh no, we check in for tarot. But then there was other people who were like, oh, I see that. But then they don't realize tarot has always been there all along, just kind of lurking in the background. Subliminal messages over here in a commercial, in a movie somewhere, Page of Swords. So it delivers. I can always count on this deck. It's sometimes nice to go back to the basics. I don't know if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Look at that Ten of Swords. I get everything I need from a love reading with this Ten of Swords. This is, with full admission, this is the system that I, grew up in with tarot. So I'm partial. Okay, there's the Death card. There's some sort of reverence that you get from using something classic like this. Do I use like the Thoth or any other system? Typically, no. I use the Smith-Waite system for my homeschool tarot practice, for my readings for me, readings for others. So that's just me. Moving on. Let's see who's joining us. Hi, Anna Louisa Herring. Anna, I'm trying to get these names here together. Thank you for joining. Thank you, thank you. My son's girlfriend, who we love dearly, they've been dating for a while now, and her name is Anna, A-N-A. And so I'm like, I want to be respectful. You know what I mean? Is it ah or ah? I see, like, I feel like I've known you for a minute, right? We've been in the same little community circle for a while. So thank you for joining. I'm happy you're here. Let's see. Okay, Abundant Life Tarot. What is it, apart from the Rider-Waite Smith, about a deck that makes you say, awesome for love reading? Fabulous question. I love that. So I used to say, oh no, it has to have full picture, like it has to have a scene. But as one of the decks, oh, it's the next deck. There's sometimes sparse scenery, and I can totally work with that. I get a gut feeling, to be honest with you. I will see if, like, it seems like there might be a deck. Let me say this: the Light Seers had a lot of images that, for me personally, evokes like inspiration in my mind about a love scenario. The lovers, for example, like the way that they're embracing. So the depiction of the lovers, the depiction of the Two of Cups, the depiction of also some of the more challenging cards to receive in a reading. What's their take on the Death card? What's their take on the Ten of Swords? How is that going to land for someone who, I don't know, like if I'm doing a reading for the hotlines, chances are I've never worked with this client before. I'm starting to now build like regulars on the hotline, so I am building a relationship with them. But in my private practice, I can experiment a little more. A lot of those clients are repeat clients. We have a relationship. They let me go carte blanche. I'm picking my decks and doing what I do with our readings. So thank you, clients. And so those I could use probably a more pip deck or, but usually it's probably Smith-Waite based, my comfort zone. It's important to feel comfort as you do the readings and not feel out like, oh, like if something popped up on the table where you're going to be like, I don't know how to answer this. But if you have a system that you know through and through, it builds confidence when you're doing readings back to back. That helps. Confidence helps for a number of readings, right? Like reasons, not readings. It helps because when you're reading for someone, you will intuitively know, okay, I need to go with this message. This is more the traditional meaning. Or sometimes you're like, no, I know this other meaning that's less used, but it applies for this situation. Confidence is also important for when somebody doesn't agree with you. And, if you're trying out a new deck or trying out a new system, and then they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And you're like, oh, and you repeat it, what you said from the cards, and they're like, that still doesn't make sense. That's not what this is. See, confidence will help you to navigate those situations too. And those situations will become few and far between when you know your tools. So Smith-Waite, RWS is my homeschool. Like there's different schools of thought. That's my homeschool one. That's the one I'm most comfortable with. I'm not going to try out a new deck. I'm not going to bust out my Dreams of Gaia tarot for a client reading when oftentimes for my own personal readings, I'm looking at the guidebook. I don't have time to look at guidebooks when I'm doing client readings. Don't have time. So I need to know that system. That's a great, great question. Yeah, going back to the basics, right? I've recently been drawn to using my Centennial. Yes, I gifted my Centennial. My original one, my one I was like learning, one of the two I was learning on for tarot. And I gave it to a dear friend who was starting out her tarot journey. So I was like, yay. But now I'm like, oh, I should have kept it. But then I fell in love with the Borderless, listen here, the Borderless one. And y'all know I made a big old move and I couldn't have both, so I gave up the bordered one for the borderless. That's what ended up happening. Okay, let me see. Yes, do you have a channel? We want to know. I've been, oh my gosh, because I don't have cable, you guys. I don't have cable. And I used to have cable. I used to be about that cable life within reason, of course, in the States. So I watch television and like trash television at that. Well, that's not really happening. So what's been replaced is YouTube in full effect in my life. Like, so I'm always looking for new channels. Let me know. Let me know. Okay. Hi, Nina. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Scott says, I love the Dreams of Gaia because it's so beautiful, but I can't read it without the book, right? I'm like, and listen, I'm not one of those people that are like, oh no, you can't bust out the book ever when you're doing a professional reading. You do what your spirit or what intuition tells you to. Like sometimes I'll have like a guidebook and the butterfly. Well, oh, it's not on here, but it's not part of my love reading ensemble over here. The Doreen Virtue's Butterfly Oracle Transformation, I think it is. It's just pictures of butterflies, but the guidebook is where it's at. Like, it's unfortunate the path she took. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes I'm called to, if I'm doing a private practice client reading, to see what does the little guidebook say? Because oftentimes it's like speaking right to what the situation is. But the Dreams of Gaia, you need some time. You need the book, you need to journal, etc. To me, I don't know. Certain decks lends themselves to certain types of readings. Yeah, it has its own system. And so since it has its own system and that's not my home system, I don't feel comfortable using it in professional readings. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I know, right? I dared go there. But I'm not going to lie. I do still use that deck, the Butterfly Oracle one. I use the Life Purpose one. The, what is it? Angels of Abundance. I feel like there's one more. Oh, there is the Goddess Guidance Oracle. So she was inspired and blessed when she created those decks, but something went awry, you know, something went awry. Something went awry. Hi, Roberta. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel the same with Dreams of Gaia. I use it more like an oracle. I do. It's more like an oracle to be the truth be told. I said a tarot. I was just trying to pull a system that's totally different than, because even if you use kind of a thought-based deck, it's still inspired by RWS. So you can, then they got the little, you know, in thought-based decks, they have the keywords. So you can work your way through that. And if you know, are so comfortable with like Marseille decks, knock yourself out. Go with what feels right. That's also for me a tip. What does your spirit say? Like my intuition would be like, not today, girl. That is not the one. That is not the deck you are using. And I'd be like, I'll try to start a reading, and then it's just like, it'll be like the reading feels off. And then I'm like, you wanted me to use the old light seers now, didn't you? And then as soon as I use it, then the messages are singing. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying with that, but yes. Yeah, thank you. I still use her decks. I'm like, listen, I pay my good money for them, and I don't know. I can't speak to where she's at now. Bless her. But I really like some of her decks. And do I go and put them in my monthly favorites type of videos to say I've been using them? No, because she was like, I don't want y'all celebrating my decks. So I don't celebrate them. But I still use them. Like, so that's the truth of the matter. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Scott says I have some of hers, but most of remain only with Bradley Valentine. Yes, I feel the same way. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Bradley is intuitive. He's a great person, I'm sure. But yeah, and buying any decks going forward with that whole situation, no. But the ones that I fell in love with way back when, yeah, they're gonna stay. They're gonna stay. Yeah. Oh, I've heard some people categorize decks as per the elements and use more watery decks for love. Yes, yes, watery. I associate that with the suit of cups, and so cups for me in tarot decks are very important when I'm looking for a potential deck to use for readings for others. But yeah, more like mermaidy, I would imagine. I'm not really into mermaids or anything like fantasy like. I only have like one or two fantasy type of decks. Maybe probably more than that. Probably more than that, but two that I like. Um, I don't know. But I can totally understand because you want that watery, flowy, loving energy. But sometimes for me and my clients, they need less cup watery energy and they need some swords happening. They need to get a sharp tongue, set some boundaries, and move their relationship forward in the proper way or be prepared to walk away. You know what I mean? Like, so I like a good, strong, all rounder, all the elements just singing their messages because sometimes I have clients or me, I'm sure we all show up in this way where we're like giving too much. The boundaries are a little loosey goosey. And, love is a complicated thing and it's not all like soft and smooth. Sometimes sometimes you got to get a little nasty. And I don't mean, well, I guess I could mean that, like in the devil with a little debauchery or whatever. Yeah. Yes. A lot of people like the fairy deck and the angel answers. I don't have either of them, but the ones I have, they're accurate. They are. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate the work. That's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. We're going to appreciate the gifts that she shared when she shared them. Bless her on her way. I don't wish no ill will. I want her to be happy and successful. So she maybe remember, like, you had a gift. Don't just throw it all away. But that's your business. That's her business. You know what I'm saying? Like the swords, though. But my sun's sign is Aquarius. I know. So I'm a little partial to swords. So don't sleep on a sword in coming up in your reading. Like there is some magic in the swords coming up in a love reading. Let me tell you. All right, next deck, the Field Tarot. This one is the mass market edition, and I'm happy because I was like, I could have like left it, and I do recall when the Field Tarot indie version was all the rage, and I was like, I don't know, and then I didn't get it, and then the mass market on US Games became available, and I got it, and I love it. And this one, I'll show you here's the backs, and I've done full flip throughs. I'm going to update the description box with a list of decks shortly thereafter, and probably links to the unboxings or any videos I did, or So you see how it's pippish like that? This is one where I'm like, I like you. I just don't understand why. Like it's really sparse. Um, it's not normally what I go for. But like so compared to the Light Seers, Light Seers got a lot of action and the lines are like, I don't know. It's just different. But that's okay. All right, so this is the Princess of Cups. Okay, Princess of Cups. I don't know why it worked. I just was one day like, I was like, I don't feel like using the Light Seers today. I need something else. And so I picked this one up and I used it for some hotline readings and then also like a couple of private practice readings. And I was like, oh, I'm impressed. I don't know. I didn't know because I wasn't necessarily sold on the indie, but bless my bones, I was totally sold on the mass market. So the Field Tarot. Now it does have a great little guidebook that you can read in a hot minute. It's helpful, just to get the creator's take on their cards. Again, just deepening your relationship with a working deck. So there's that one. Now we're going to move on. So the ones I've mentioned so far, and there's probably two more that I'm going to mention that are for sure ones I use all the time in professional readings. The next are ones that I've used in the past and had great success, but for a variety of different reasons, I just don't use them on the regular like I do my workhorse decks. Just saying. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is in a little tarot bag, so I can reunite them with their boxes. It's the Afro Tarot. This one, I'm mentioning this one because I love it. I use it for readings mostly for myself, but it does it's more, okay, you know how we were just talking about watery decks? This feels more swords and wandsy energy to me. So I appreciate it. Like sometimes if a client submitted their questions through my private practice and I already know what we're doing our reading on, and I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and use this deck today because my intuition is telling me we need a little bit more of a heavier, for me to channel this message, we need something heavy in the swords and wands energies. Lust, passion, and or getting to the mind of the matter. Sometimes we lead too much with the heart. I know that sounds crazy with someone who loves love readings, but I like to troubleshoot in my tarot readings. So all of these I'm pretty sure I did unboxing for. I love it that it's fully melanated. So every now and then I'm like, I need this. I need it for me. Sometimes I need to use decks just because that's going to work. What? For me. I'm not all client centric all the time. I have to sometimes think about me, the reader, in the mix. So I'm going to keep going because I do have full unboxings. But that one surprised me. I use it in quite a few professional readings, even hotline. Now, I'm careful not to use decks with a bunch of nudity, even though this is tastefully done. With the Afro Tarot, it's totally tastefully done. But my private practice, again, they give me a little freedom, a little carte blanche. But my hotline ones, which I'm technically working for another entity for, I refrain from using decks with any nudity. I should say. Let's see. Oh my God, I have the Field Tarot, and I think one of the guys looks like Black Panther. He does. He totally does. Who is it? Was it the guy who passed away that he looks like? I forgot. I'm bad with actors' names. I can remember deck names, but I don't know. It may sound strange, but my favorite TV's deck that talks like crazy and in detail is the Animal Tarot cards. It just looks cute, but it packs through a bunch. Don't you love decks like that are like super either cute or, it just has a certain, you think, okay, I'll just say this, you think you're going to get one thing, like the animal, like cutesy little animals, and then it's like it scratches and bites, and you're like, I was not expecting you, but I like it. I'm liking it. All right, moving on. We have this one. I used this one a lot when this deck first came out. I just fell in love with it for client love readings. Then, I don't know, something happened. I just was like, I know what happened. I became so busy in my professional life that I was like, I don't have time to try to get to know another deck. I'm just going to stick with the light seers and let's just roll with that. This is the Slow Tarot. So the Slow Tarot is number 6 on my list. I've done an unboxing. I backed this one on Kickstarter. I don't know. There's something just simply gorgeous about fine art and tarot cards, and it just is this kind of. It's not. I don't think she intended for it to be like having a romantic feel or like a nostalgic feel to it, but it does for me, and I just really adore this deck. I don't, and it does deliver in client readings, professional readings. I think because it is independently produced, I baby them a little more, and that could also be subconsciously what was going on, why I stopped using it. And I was just like, I'm just going to use mass market because I'm butchering. I worked a lot of hours in my part-time business, and my decks took a beating. So look, just nostalgia right here. Let me see. I'm trying to get the lighting just right. And like if I had a client who came to me and they were married and they had questions surrounding their marriage or um, wanting to attract a much more long-term type of commitment, many people are. Um, I felt called to use this one. I don't know. Again, like I said, that's obviously different than if you're doing like readings face to face, right? Maybe you're a reader who does face to face readings. I don't really feel like I don't do face to face readings. I don't know. Like, and then after the whole like pandemic thing, I was just like, in the end, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to delivering readings face to face. Like I end up sweating bullets, like trying to make sure the setup, the table is right, like I'm dressed appropriately. Like it's just this whole thing, whole head case. And then by the time I'm ready to do the reading, I'm zapped. It's just, I don't know, face to face readings in me. I do them and people want me to continue to do them. Like out here, they want me to do them out here. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I like what I'm doing virtually. There's that. All right, next up, the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. I love this deck. I know I probably stopped using this because I wanted to baby it, but I use this a lot. The year I got it, and I don't remember when, I need to make sure I use it though. Let it air out. So moist in these parts. I know people hate that word, but it's so humid. So, but this deck also delivers. I think typically I tend to use this deck during like the Halloween or like fall season and maybe into Christmas. I talk about it all the time, or I did talk about this deck a lot. My oldest son, when he asked me to do readings for him, he wants me to use this deck, and I do, and it also delivers. And I don't really use it in hotline work because it's like call after call or reading after reading. This was a deck that I used in my private practice. It's kind of dark. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh. In another month or so, I'm going to finally have a proper setup because we're going to be moving. And I cannot wait because I'm tired of my lighting and sound and setup situation issues. And hopefully we can hook us up with some better internet. I don't know. The Bohemian Gothic, though. The messages are so clear to me. You wouldn't think because it's like you look at these scenes, but if you have a reading where the client like you have time to work with a reading. There's so much in the details of the images. You can get lost in it. You really could. Like, oh, I don't know. Just love this damn deck. So yeah, the Bohemian Gothic. But I'll be honest with you, I think it fell out of me using it all the time because I was like, oh, it's out of print, or sometimes comes into print for a hot second. And I'm like, oh, that's again the collector. The collector in me is like, mm-mm, mm-mm. Be tearing up decks over here. All right, the next one is this one I did use a lot back in the States as an alternative to the Light Seers mass market. And that is the This Might Hurt Tarot. Okay. I like that. Um, in retrospect, because I use it a lot, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not particular about the gilding, to be honest. Whether a creator wants to add gilding or not doesn't. I think if they asked us, "Do you all want gilding?" I'd probably say no. No, I don't want gilding. But I don't get to make those decisions, so we have to go with what they give us. But I love this deck. Again, it's got scenes, right, that are like clearly telling a tale. And you could look at the color and sometimes be inspired with an answer during a love reading, right? You could look at how this is the Empress. You could look at, she's sitting on a solid foundation and, she's in a lush garden. And what about that in the love reading that you're doing is that speaking to? There's a lot to go off here. There's a waterfall in the background. It just so pretty. I remember when she was like creating this deck, and she was like, I think she hired a like colorist or someone who specializes in adding the colors to the deck, and that was like what do you call it? A perk, or I haven't backed a deck in a minute. I forgot what you call it. Like it's an upgrade or something like that if you hit your goals. And so she was able to hire this guy, and I was like, this is just amazing. Thank you for hiring him. He did a fantastic job. And I hear the subsequent editions, they even have more saturated color. So not everyone's probably into more of this cartoony style. So I think with that, plus the fact that I use, I don't know, I don't want to tear up my indie decks. This one kind of fell out of favor, but it was an alternative to the Light Seers Tarot for me. So I wouldn't be like getting bored. Because you can use one deck. Like you don't have to have multiple decks. You really don't. But if you're like me, variety is the spice of life. And sometimes if I'm doing readings full time, I need variety. That's what I need. So that's what I want. Sorry, I'm just moving some decks so we can clear the table. Moving decks, clearing the table. Oops, let me be careful with said decks. Okay. Next. Okay. I thought the Queen Alice tarot would be a cute tarot, but the readings with it are intense. I'm sorry, but I know what you mean. Like certain decks, you're like, I was not expecting this ride with you. I was not like, and I don't know if I can have you. You bring up actually a point that I need to make. Some considerations are, well, first of all, I don't just bust out a brand new deck for a client reading. Oftentimes I don't. I have worked with it for readings for myself, maybe did a reading for a loved one, because I always have a loved one who would like a reading. That there's no shortage of them. But the I like getting to know a deck because I want to hear the voice. Now, not everyone believes or ascribes to this belief, but I do, so bear with me. I believe that certain decks have a certain, I don't know, voice, or if we look at them as tools, each you use a particular deck for this tool, like candor, shadow work, okay, affronting. I know I can't really use this with this fragile client who's like about to break. I need to be offering, a little bit more of gentleness with the reading. So that is a consideration. I have to use the deck to know the voice of said deck, I don't know if that makes any sense. Hello. Hi, Blue Crescent Tarot. Thank you for stopping by on your break. Thank you. That makes me feel loved. I appreciate that. See, I do. Yeah, I'm not a fan of gilding because ultimately, if you end up using that deck a lot, the gilding's going to take a beating. But some people like that. That's part of the charm of the deck. Yes, right? Variety. Nothing wrong with that. Just like I see nothing wrong with someone who's like, I just need one or two decks and that's it. For career, for love, doesn't matter. Those are the decks. But some of us, like lots of shoes, lots of purses, you know. 5 Cent Tarot is one I love, but I did not expect the intensity of the readings it gave me, right? And then you look at it, because that was on my wish list for a long time, the 5 Cent Tarot, and you look at it, you're like, that is going to be so cool. But as readers, we also have to take into consideration, like, how are the messages going to come through for a client? In love readings, you have to have more of a, I don't want to say, because I don't want people to think I'm saying sugarcoat things. Mm-mm. Remember, I'm not a person who's afraid of seeing the death card or the swords pop up a lot in a love reading. Let's go there. But there's still, and you as the reader are the one who has to know the word choices and things to soften the blow. But I am a firm believer certain decks are just going to just cut somebody to shreds. And then sometimes I'm like, deck, is it just me? Like, would you like? I've even tried it where I would do a reading for someone else with the same deck that, like, the one I'm thinking of, it's a mass market. It's the Wheel of the Year Tarot, and no one else, no other tarot readers complain about this deck, but it has such a biting voice with me, and so my son loves it. Like, he ended up inheriting that deck, and I was like, great, because we were not meshing. I don't understand. Don't understand. I wanted to love it, but didn't work out. I have to ask the panel. I have approximately 30 decks from different categories. I do not read for anyone. It's more for my own journey. How much decks is too much? Yes, panel. Share. How many? I don't know if I could be the one to say what for you personally is too much. I can only speak from my experience. It was starting to become overwhelming to have so many decks. That it started to make me feel bad when I couldn't really get to know a deck like I wanted to get to know a deck. And then it was just practical issues. I can't have that many decks moving around like I was trying to move around. So 30 decks for me, that was about the number of my working decks alone. Again, I'm a woman who likes variety. So 30 working decks was what traveled with me from the United States to the Dominican Republic. So that's just alone. That's not accounting for me for my decks that I'm just loving to use for my readings for myself, and just because I like pulling them out and they're pretty and I love collecting decks. My happy place in my ideal world would be like 100 decks. But that could cause somebody to go into convulsions while other people are like, that ain't nothing. You know what I mean? So it's super personal, you know. Yeah. Let's see. It's what feels good to you. I do read for others, but for a long time I only used one deck for clients, and I still had a lot for myself. They're like close to me. That's me. Like, yeah, different decks for different days. Right? Some people change them out seasonally. Some people change them out, every week or every day. Consistency is important for me, but readings for myself, the sky's the limit. Yeah. Yeah. I had the same experience with the wild unknown. It surprised me. Okay. Okay. Yes, I love big shelves where there's like a whole deck. Like, that's what I want in my new spot, where I just feel like, okay, what deck am I going to use today? What am I feeling? And you're pulling out some nice outfit or something. I don't know. All right, so we talked about, no, this is my hair. So this is also by Baba Studio, so it's Bohemian Gothic. This is the Victorian Romantic. Bohemian Gothic, as well as this one, is created by Alex Yukalov and Karen Mahoney. I know I haven't been giving everybody their, author names or creator names, but this was gifted to me, so it does read beautifully for love readings. But I find that I only pull this out for special client reading occasions and perhaps readings for myself. because I'm babying it. You know, there's that babying thing again. But in terms of readability, I will say that it is a beautiful reader for love readings, especially clients who are in relationships. I like the scenes. They work for new love relationships too, but for some reason, like I said, the Light Seers really speaks to my folks who are seeking love. And that's a different kind of reading, right, than you're going to have with someone who's in a relationship. Just a different kind of reading. But yeah, I love love readings because that's ultimately what we want, most of us anyway, and to connect with people. And I've had people or purchase love readings for their friendships and like platonic natured friendships. It wasn't just the romantic variety. So, yeah, this one is beautiful. But like I said, I've been babying it. Look at that. Look, you can't even, the dang lighting is not giving it its proper justice. So, okay. Let me move on. We only have one more tarot. Yay! One more tarot. Oh, I skipped one. Number 5, just so you know, but to save time, because I've done an unboxing and I've probably talked about this deck in many of monthly favorites. It's the Luna Soul Tarot. This is the first edition. I won't go into, you could probably do a walkthrough, but this one I used a lot before the Light Seers came on the scene, right? The mass market. I used this one probably 70% of my love readings. But I was someone who had a lot of decks at one point and needed to change them out seasonally. So this felt more spring, summer to me. Some people are like, oh, this is a winter deck. I'm like, not me. It feels very summery and spring to me. So by the time fall or winter came, I would switch to like the Bohemian Gothic. But yeah, I love the Luna Soul Tarot. I know that they've reprinted it. I don't know much about the details about the Luna Soul, other than I like this one because okay, I'm gonna at least show you the stock. It's in this tuck box. I need to probably just put it. It was in a different container, but I had to combine some stuff. Anyways, I don't know. So I like this stock. I don't know what kind of stock that the newer edition comes in. I don't know. But I like this pastel-y palette. And I like that I can shuffle it easily. The messages were beautiful and like kind. Like whereas like some of my decks with the biting little voice, this one was not biting. It was like it could deliver some sad information with like a gentleness. Could be just totally the color palette, but it worked. So cannot not mention that one. I had amazing love readings with that one. Primarily like my private client readings though, not so much hotlines. The last one is one that has just been recently added to my collection. It's the Good Karma Tarot. So here's the back. It's glossy, so that kind of makes it kind of more paying if I'm doing it for like my private practice, because I'm taking pictures and images, still photos of the reading. And so the glare might sometimes I have to like be careful with how I pick up the glare on the images. It's kind of difficult, especially with this poor lighting situation going on. So this one blew my mind. I had a feeling I was going to really like it, and I did. And I used it for myself for like maybe a week or two. And then I was like, oh no, let's give her a go. Let's try her out for a client reading. And it just was beautiful. So I haven't did a lot of client readings, but I haven't did a lot with this deck, but the ones I have, I was quite impressed. I was really impressed. It, like for those who are just starting out on their tarot journey, it is designed to be a beginner type deck, but you don't have to be a beginner to really appreciate it. Here's the Hermit. This is me back in the States on a rainy day. a hair wrap. Like, so it's diverse. It's modern. I like contemporary decks. I now gravitate more towards contemporary, modern depiction type decks. I do like some of the classics because sometimes I crave a little throwback, but as a rule, I probably drift or kind of gravitate towards these type of decks. So that's the tarot. The honorable mentions that I don't have on the table, but I should mention is the Super Lunaris. I never know how to pronounce it. Tarot. Love that deck. I've only used it like twice in a professional reading, but they were love readings, and it was beautiful. But I'm babying it, so I'm not going to probably use it very often, knowing me. And the True Heart Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True. I did use that one a few times at the beginning of the year, this year, 2021, for client readings, and I had success with those readings as well. People were pleased. I was pleased as the reader, and it's mass market. It's available mass market, but y'all, I wanted to just bring these decks to you because I know them. Okay, so let me see. Oh, okay. What deck was that? Okay. And I will hopefully, when I update, Nina, the description, I will be sure to try to link like an unboxing. So you're like, oh yeah, it's that one. I thought it was that one. Like, I should try to timestamp it, but we'll see if that happens. Yes, the first edition Luna Soul, that deck reads like a dream for me, doesn't it? It really does. Like the readings are so effortless. Like I could sit down with it. I don't necessarily even need like a accompanying oracle, although I'm like a 5-course tarot reader kind of person where I want like, a variety on the table. So I like an oracle deck, but with that one, I didn't always feel the need. Let's see. Luna Soul Tarot. The one that came earlier. Okay. It's kind of bad. Oh, the Victorian Roman. Okay. Thank you guys. Yes. It's the Victorian Romantic, but it looks out of print. Yeah. And the creator sometimes mentions, I can't remember, they are reprinting some of their most popular decks. This might be one of them. So check out their website and see. But it is out of print right now. Hence why I baby it. Let's see. Can you give us a rundown at 10 to 1? Thank you. I sure can. So 10 was the Good Karma Tarot. Number 9 was the Victorian Romantic. Number 8 was This Might Hurt Tarot. Number 7 was the Bohemian Gothic. Number 6 was the Slow Tarot. Number 5 was the Luna Soul Tarot, first edition. Number 4 is the Afro Tarot. Number 3 is the Field Tarot. Number 2 is the Smith-Waite Tarot. Number 1 is the Light Seers Tarot, mass market if I need to add that. And the honorable mentions were the Super Lunaris Tarot and the True Heart Intuitive Tarot. Thank you. And I'll try to remember to do that for the Oracle. And I'll try to move faster in the Oracle. Baba Studios, that's right. That is right. Okay, now the Oracle. This one should move relatively fast because the Oracle, I have a story about the Oracle. So I create most of the Oracle decks that I use in my professional readings because I was finding that I wasn't satisfied with the Oracle decks that were out there. I don't know why. Like for some reason I was like, these aren't going to work for my professional readings. And for example, Doreen Virtue's Romance Angels Oracle. I love that for professional client readings. Love it. But because it was gilded and it was glossy, I wore it out. It looks really banged up. Like I'm thinking about selling it, but I'm like, who's going to want it in this condition? I don't know. It's really banged up. So I was like, I'm going to create my own Oracle deck that's modern, contemporary, keywords I can appreciate. So I'm just going to show a few of these cards, but if you don't necessarily have to just use what's on the market. You can make, if you have time and patience, you can make your own deck with makeplayingcards.com or Printer Studios. I use makeplayingcards.com for creating my Oracle decks. I created several Oracle decks, but I specifically created 3 that I use for my professional love readings. This is my all-rounder one. I did do an unboxing, and I'll try to link it again in this video. I'll try to remember to link it. I should remember. I haven't done unboxings of these other ones I created because I was like, well, I'm not selling them. So, you know, what am I unboxing for? But I did do this one. So it was just images. This deck is banged the hell up. Chemistry. But I ordered a couple extras to take with me out here because I use it in 100% of my love readings. Deep into the Shadow. And I will probably at some point have to retire this one because it's banged up. You need to set healthy boundaries. So I went through stock images, and I had already a list of key phrases that I knew I wanted to use. And so then I just went to town working with the stock images, Canva, and then I created a little deck and I sent off, I uploaded those images to Make Playing Cards. And then a few weeks later, they sent me my little deck. And these are the ones that I use. So that's finances and career affecting your love life. Passion. Engagement. Very soon, love will come. Worth the wait. Deception detected. And deception, right? Yes, it could be somebody cheating. Yes, it could be someone not telling the whole truth. But sometimes it can be, the deception is we're holding something back from our partners, or not showing our true selves, or not speaking up, or kind of fudging the truth to not cause a fight. Deception can show up in many different ways, depending on the reading, right? Or the people involved. So, yeah. I won't keep going because I can just include, here's calling your soulmate. Oh, this is my favorite. Unrequited love and iniquity. You know the folks who are in a relationship that they're chasing. There's a chasing energy. So it's imbalance. Somebody's not feeling the other person equally in the mix. And it just causes all kinds of havoc in a love situation. But I have cards like that in this deck. So there's that. I have, we'll talk about this one first. Symbols of attraction. So I call it my symbols of attraction oracle, right? Just use that. This is physical or personality, or just kind of the essence of who people are, like those kind of keywords. So eyes. They like your eyes. You're down to earth. They like that you are kind of magical. I hang out with a lot of magical people. Perhaps you're reserved, or that's what they're seeking, what your upcoming partner may be looking for. So there was decks that were not fitting what I needed for like my hotline work. Sometimes I don't want to be fighting all over the place for a message. So I just like these. Go with the flow. You go with the flow. So they might like your skin, the skin that you're in. So I created this deck to feel that. I saw some decks on Etsy that could do this type, but they were so expensive, like $100 for one. I was like, could work, and I was like, I just can't. I cannot spend that. That was sexy body. So I was like, no, can't spend it. It's just cheaper if I make my own. Depth and intensity. It's something personal to me. I wrote out my little keywords. I combed over all the different little stock images that I wanted to use. And when I use it, I don't have a guidebook, but I don't need one. I created it. So there's that. And then the last one that I get a kick out of is the Love Repellant Oracle. So again, these are speaking to, and I'm sorry guys, I'm not updating my banner, my Oracle deck. So these, and I'll list them off too. This is my third one that I created for my professional readings. This is what I call my Love Repellant Oracle. Okay. So let's see. Control Freak. There are decks I found on Etsy that have these kind of themes, but again, they were either like, they just weren't including things I would want to include. That's all. Too many team players. Love sickness. Have you ever met someone who was lovesick? Poor communication skills. Talks too much. Physique, for better or for worse, you know. Can't really, I didn't do this image well. Can't really see all the players in it. Territorial. Vanity. No trust. Too nice. Jealous behaviors. Immature. No sex appeal. I am not like always sexy, so I can say whatever. Depressive vibe. Know it all. And so mismatch in drive and ambition. So yeah, so I had these different decks in mind, and I keep these on the table when I'm doing hotlines, or sometimes if I know ahead of time what kind of client reading that I'm going to do, and I know there's questions around these type of topics, I'll have them ready for when I do my reading. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. No problem. She said, let me get another cuppa. Yes. I should have broke it up into two, but I was like, let me just lump it all together. And I knew I was going to go through quickly with the oracle, so I won't keep you guys too much longer. I'm just happy you're here. Love that you made your own to get more concise answers, right? I was just like, this isn't working for me. Like some of them, like the decks that I talk about in the videos, I did another, a couple of those videos back, like my top love tarot decks for love readings. And I think I've mentioned them in our community tab post this week. Those are still decks that I stand behind and recommend, but my tastes have changed where I was like, no, for professional readings, they're not quite hitting what I want them to hit. So I'm going to create my own deck. And it's really simple. I wouldn't tell y'all to do something complicated. Let me tell you, I try not to at least. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm a keywords kind of person. You know what I'm saying? Like I need strong keywords. The image could be whatever, honestly. I still need beautiful images, but keywords for me, for Oracle decks, hands down, that's the selling feature for me. Oh, oh my gosh. Are you for real? Are you for real? Are you for real? Welcome, by the way. I didn't know you were here. Thank you for joining Essence 18. What? Don't really? Bob Marley? Now, is he your spiritual dad or he's like your real dad? Like, oh my God, I'm going to be like, what? Like, either way, I just adore Bob Marley. Adore him. I'm a huge fan. Like, we listen to Bob Marley a lot in this house. I just adore him. Okay. So tell me. Like, I want to know. I need to know this. Okay, number four. Number 4 is a mass market. I've talked about it before, I'm sure. Maybe an unboxing. But Carolyn Misses Archetype Cards. So I like this deck because I'll sometimes in a reading ask a question like sometimes a person wants to know, well, what will my partner be like? Or, they ask these questions on the hotlines. Well, like, what would my partner be like? What would be some of their traits? And so I like this one because it gives the light attributes and the shadow attributes. So I appreciate that about this oracle. Um, Also, I might ask for couples readings, what archetypal energies are you bringing forth into this dynamic at this time? What cards represent you? What card represents your partner? And, how is that showing up? And is it meshing or not? And so I like using the archetype cards for that. So let's just look through a couple. Because I did do an unboxing, I'm pretty sure. Warrior, light attributes, strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will. Heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice and conquering the ego. The shadow attribute is trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. It's the warrior. So it's glossy, and it's what, how many? 80 cards. Well, some of them, like 6 of them, are like ones that six that you can draw. But I would never draw my own oracle decks and use it professionally. Just saying. So those are just extra little cards here. I'm not ever going to do that, but it's a nice concept, and I know there's people who do use those. I just don't. It comes with the guidebook. I don't use the guidebook because all the information that I need with the purpose and how I use this deck is on the cards. So Seeker, and a lot of people know about this deck, I'm sure. This is probably not a surprise, but it is when I do act. I used it like earlier this week in my love readings. Femme Fatale. Femme Fatale. Saboteur. So it has, all sorts of archetypal energy. Mediator, thief, advocate. I can tell I used it because some of these cards that I used came up are upside down. Teacher, slave, light attribute, surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. Shadow attribute, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. Ooh. So yeah, I won't bore you with all the flip through, but that is one that I definitely use as an oracle in my professional love readings. Over here. Next up, you guys hear me talk about this one all the time. So the ones that I'm showing you now between 1 and 5, this is the 5th one, are ones I constantly use all the time in my readings. The Power of Surrender cards is also on Hay House, super cheap. I use this a lot. This is like my my 3rd copy. And I'm glad they don't gild them anymore, thank God. Because, yeah, I really like this deck. I have to refrain. I always say that. I have to refrain from always mentioning it in my monthly favorites videos because y'all would get bored. Y'all be like, she has all those decks and those are the only ones she's using? Well, yeah, professionally speaking, yes. Like, surrender to success. Surrender to spirit. The reason I use this deck a lot, by the way, is because it works really well. It's an all-rounder deck. It works really well in all types of readings, not just love readings, but oftentimes it just is so perfect, like a perfect closer. Or sometimes it complements questions like, what do I need to surrender in this situation? Or what do I need to release? Or help me. I'm not quite sure what to do. Well, let me give you some practical information, like surrender to rest and sleep. You're operating on 3 or 4 hours of sleep, my love. I see that with the 4 of Swords here, and it's causing some difficulties in everything in your life, including your love life. See what I'm saying? Surrender to effortlessness. So I just love this deck. I did a deck in focus. I didn't do an unboxing of this deck, but if you typed in the Power of Surrender in like the little search of my channel, little search box, You'll see I talk about it a lot. I usually try to tag it so y'all can see how much I love it. Surrender. Oh, let me show you. Surrender worry. It's a good one. Surrender your addictions. Surrender your attachment to results. It's really a big thing for people to try to embrace in the love life. You know, I don't know, especially those who are seeking love, they have such a finite way of expecting how love is going to come to them, and they're like closing off all these different ways that love could reach them. So I love that. Surrender your need to always be right. It's a good one for relationships. Surrender the drama. That's a really good one. I can be a little drama diva sometimes in my own relationship. Surrender obsessive thinking. Surrender your fear of change. Okay, one more. One more. Surrender your desire to control people. So yeah, it's one of my favorites. Absolute hands down favorite. I love that in my collection, but I love my mass market decks as much, and sometimes if not more in some instances, as my indie decks. Do I beat them up? Yes, because I love them so much. But I love them. So that was 1 through 5. Let me see. Let me see what we got. Memes in the house. You know we love our meme. I tried to make it okay. Well, it's a possibility, but honestly, I just love him so much. I would just wish that it's one of those, when they were like, if there's someone dead or alive who you could meet, who would that be? And for me, Bob Marley would hands down be one of those people. Probably the only person, honestly. Probably so. I don't know. I can't think of another person right now. Yes. See, I'm glad I'm not the only one, Nina. The archetype cards is a wonderful staple. In my opinion, not everyone probably feels that way, but it works. It works for like uh, folks looking for love type readings, and especially for couple readings. Like, how are you showing up? How is this person showing up? Oh, look at you, the saboteur. Look at what's coming up here, and then it corresponds with the tarot cards on the table. Every one of my childhood friends will tell you he's my dad. Shoot, after over 30 years, 30 plus years, I may have convinced my mom too. Oh my God, can you imagine? It's like it just became the whole, like, it's part of the fabric of your family story now. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Hey, Deanne and everyone else here, just listening in, but couldn't help to keep peeking in at the cards. Okay, yeah, peek in, dip out. I'm just happy you all are here. Thank you. Yes, yes. All right. Ooh, hi, the Oracle Throne. Thank you for coming on in. Okay, I'm just going through these here comments. Bob is my dad. Perez Hammond is my godfather. I built a whole altar. Oh, we have to do that sometime to create our own alternative. Who would be in our own alternative family? Oh, I could have fun with that one. I'm probably a little like old to be starting this because you probably have built this beautiful landscape of a story, and like I'm just like I'm gonna build it now. Who is my alternative family? All right, my dear. Thanks for joining. You cracked me up today. You cracks me up. And don't worry, guys, we only have a few more. So number 6 is, I believe this one was on my original top Oracle decks for love readings back, what is that, 2018, 2019? I don't even remember when I did that video. But it is the Dear Heart. Uh-oh. I got to start. I used it. Did I not? Oh, no. I used a different Oracle deck. See, living in a humid climate, I have to make sure I use them and love them. So it's the Dear Heart Oracle, and I have the first and second edition. So here's the first. I blended them together, and I talk ad nauseum also about this deck. So if you did a search I'll try to put links some videos with this to tell the tale of this deck. But Dear Heart Oracle has this. This is the second edition's back. This is the first edition. This is the Shadow Self, Letting Go. And I talk all the reasons why, because a lot of the cards from the first and second are duplicate, but there was additional cards added. But that all goes into my using this deck. Like this is the past to present influences. And let me back up here because I need to show you guys. Where is it? That's okay. I look at the light facing energies and the shadow facing energies of a client's situation. So if they booked a long reading with me, I have like certain love readings that are like 45 minutes long, an hour long, and I have time. The first part is devoted to like about 10 minutes of that, looking at the overall overarching energies. This is the deck I use for my light facing energies, and then I use the Oracle of Nightmares, which I'm giving away. That's one of the decks in this pile here, spoiler, as the shadow facing, and it corresponds. And so this is past to present to me when I see this card laying like this, and then this is present to future energies, what may be coming up. So that's how I use this deck. Here's Passion. I wonder if I talk about that. I don't know if I talk about that in the old videos. That's what I've been always doing, so I'd be surprised if I didn't. I'm also a person who loves oracle decks that are like traditional tarot size. They're easy to handle. I can shuffle, riffle shuffle, overhand shuffle, and I like to get a good shuffle in between readings. So that's important to me. The stock is important. It's got to be kind of flexible here. Gratitude. Here's from the second edition. Inspired. Such a pretty deck, and I love it. And it's super accurate. The energetic forecast I do with this. So check out those videos. I'm going to make sure that I link how I really do that reading. If I ever did it on the channel, I don't know. All right. Dear Heart Oracle. I don't know, and I think it's available on like a site like makeplayingcards.com the last I checked. I think. I don't know. I can't remember which printer on demand it is, but it is such a sweet deck. You could use it also in just like as a clarifier for your love tarot readings. It works beautifully that way too, but I found a way to use this deck specifically, and that's that energetic forecast. All right. This one, the White Rabbit Oracle. I think this is the first and second edition, and I did the same thing because sometimes my light facing energies, I'm not really feeling the Dear Heart Oracle in that moment for that reading. I go to my White Rabbit Oracle, and this one has this card back for the first edition. Look, I'm also a person who likes massive oracle decks. That's another thing I like. I don't know, just me. But I'm like, I like when there's like a 20 card deck, I'm like, that makes me sad. So here's the second edition. I combine them, do a similar treatment like I do with the Dear Heart Oracle. I use this in love readings as well, also as sometimes a clarifying oracle message with the tarot. Desire, Secrets, Mystery. Can you see that? Mystery. I love that card. Direction. They don't have heads on their bodies. Patience. I love the White Rabbit Oracle. I loved it from the moment I got it, and I still love it to this day. It traveled with me. You know how I feel about my decks that actually made the trek with me on the plane. Okay. Fairylands. Oh, I like this one. Resurrection. Romance. Gotta have a romance card. So, yeah, that's the White Rabbit Oracle. What is the White Rabbit Oracle? Okay. Oh, good question. When using Carolyn's archetype oracle, do you use reverse cards or just intuition to focus on the lighter shadow aspects? I do both, but typically, and I always, with reversals, this is what I do. Everybody has something different that they do with reversals, but I set the tenor and tone of that before I do a reading. So I'm like, all right, Spirit, today, um, I'm going to be acknowledging all reverse cards, and that's going to be my thing I'm doing today to kind of change things up. But I set that before I even start doing my day's work of readings. I don't like flip flop. Most of the time, though, it's like intuition because we're complex beings where we're a blend of the light and the shadow. And that's not a bad or good thing. So, what I like about the archetype cards is that they're both on their like upright, right? So, yeah, it could come in reverse, but really, oftentimes your intuition is going to tell you, well, what is this light attribute saying, and what is the shadow? And then you find, there's more shadow in this situation than it is the light. This is, what's going on, so that can inform the reading. But typically, I set into motion, like especially with tarot cards. I usually tend to do reversals with tarot, not so much oracle. I know that there's the reversals of like oracle decks, like the energy oracle comes to mind. They have like Colette Baron Reed has certain decks that have the reversal, um, and that's fine. Sometimes I'm called to, but before I do the reading, that's one of the things that one of the little negotiating things I have with spirit. I'm like, all right, we don't do reversals today, or if a reverse card comes up and I'm like, I don't know, I'm still feeling like I need to read the upright meaning with this one. I don't know why. Also, intuition kind of supersedes everything, but I don't know. It's like a hodgepodge answer for you, but that's the tarot for sure. I typically honor reversals. This one makes it easy to say, you know what, we're complex, so it's both. Oftentimes, yeah, they do. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it could. And that's what's beautiful about using the reversals, at least with early any deck. Like you will say, okay, this is more of the prominent energetic thing going on or feature going on in the situation. And that's one way to go with it. And so you could apply it that way. Sometimes though, the card might be upright and it's like shadow all day, every day to that client situation. Even if it was upright, I'm like, I don't know. It's looking like the shadow is superseding everything over here. And I'm glad you got this reading. This is a time for illumination. I'm like, there we go. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yes. Ain't it the best? Power of Surrender Oracle. To me, I love it. I know some people aren't a fan of the fact that there's, the little phrases at the bottom, that there's big borders, that there's big keywords. I love all of it. I even love the little images. Yeah. Okay. Dina asked, do I modify any of my decks? Just curious. I've done so with so many decks. And I love the way it affects the deck's energy and reads. I used to. It was a way that I decompressed. The only thing I'm comfortable doing with mods or modifications is just edging with them with a particular marker. I'm not comfortable, me personally, with cutting them or anything like that. So I haven't had the chance to even sit down and modify decks. Although I know that sometimes we just feel called to modify a deck, like we just know in our gut, you need to modify this deck. And there have been times when I dropped everything back in my old life, and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm sitting up here watching TV and edging this deck. But like my Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle, I edged it in black, and I don't know, just me and that deck connect so deeply afterwards. So I agree with you on that. I have not, and I'll be honest, some of my indie decks, I probably will never, I probably won't ever edge them or modify them. That's that collector in me again. Yeah. Okay. Been so fabulous seeing all your decks and spending time with you. Thanks so much. Big love. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I gotta make sure that we only have, and I talked about it, so we won't go into great detail, but Ariana Siegel, who is the creator of the White Rabbit Oracle, the one I just showed you, is also the creator of the Oracle of Nightmares. This is the deck that I use for the shadow as aspects. You can't even see it. It's a little skeleton, a little scary little skeleton in there. I edged it, used this deck so much, I've had to re-edge it like 3-4 times because I use it so much. So you can see where it's more. That's how much I love it. This is the shadow, and sometimes I'm called to use it throughout the reading, like to accompany a tarot message. And just because it's black and kind of like scary looking, the messages aren't really that harsh. They do bring forth some things to consider, but it's not like some of my more happier decks that end up having like, that end up basically cussing you out. This one doesn't do that. Just if that makes any sense. Inertia. Repression. It's kind of hard to see them in this bad light. I did do, and I'm pretty sure, an unboxing, and I talk about this deck all the time in favorites videos and etc. Risk, because I like it a lot. Manifestation. Secrets. And some people are like, you use that for love readings? I do. Oh, look at this one. Look at acceptance. I do. Sometimes a little shadowy type of deck is what's needed. I don't know how to explain it any more than that, but you know, it's nice to like, my clients will sometimes say, wow, I love your collection. I love that you have all these different decks, and because they speak to me, and so I listen to my intuition too when I'm picking out decks and to use for client readings, and I will just go with what I feel, especially for my private practice clients. I listen to my gut. So yeah, and then let's see, Oracle of Nightmares, Oracle of Echoes, first edition by Anna Turian. This is another one that I adore. What is this? I'm sure I have it in a little bag. I use this one also for love readings. It's also a good all-rounder deck for me, but it works well in love readings. I know she has a latest edition, but I have this one and I really like it. My Self-Sabotage. Love her artwork, and I love the keywords. She does have like I printed out her PDF book. I think it was online, and I put it in a spiral bound so it can lay flat when I'm working with this deck. Awaken Inner Force. Depression. You can see how these keywords could really speak to a myriad of different kind of love scenarios, right? Look within. Home. Inner strength. Oh my goodness, protection. This is a long life. Don't worry, we're wrapping her up. No loss. Deceit. I love this one. Fear. Vulnerability. So, and then finally, and I'm not going to go too much in detail because I realize this is another unpublished. I have so many videos that I need to publish, and I actually did an unboxing of the 3 of these decks. They were a combo of the Island Time Wellness Love Oracle cards. Look, I have them all. I need to publish those, so I won't go into great detail, but I love them because they're so fun and sometimes they work really well in hotline calls. Um, let's see, like secrecy. It says in affair, hiding something, use discretion, surprise, collaborate, protecting, denying, risk. And it's a little deck. It's kind of hard to see again with this crappy lighting, but it's like also a good little clarifier to have. Or you could just use just this deck and do like a little reading to get a pulse on what's going on with the situation if you have like quick readings to do or what have you. Have the document. I'm not going to show you guys images because, like I said, I did an unboxing where it's overhand, like over, like, you know what I mean, overhead, where I brought the cards up to the light. So this is a good one, though, that I do use for my hotline readings. So that's it. Let me do a quick rundown of the deck. So Oracle, and these is my very own love oracle, the one with the little red roses. Number 2 is symbols of attraction. Number 3 is love repellent oracle. Number 4, this is where it starts to get to what's available, archetype cards. Number 5, power of surrender. Number 6, dear heart oracle. Number 7, white rabbit oracle. Number 8, oracle of nightmares. Number 9, oracle of echoes. Number 10, Island Time Wellness decks. There's 3, and they are all different cards, so that's why they're all combined like that. Sometimes I'll just split them up, shuffle, and then set one aside, like a good section, and just use one big handful of the Island Time Wellness cards. So I'll publish those so that way you guys know what I'm talking about. I should have read them from 10 to 1 like I did with the tarot, but I didn't. I did not. So I'm going to just go through. Let's see. I went through here. It was scary the first time I decided to modify. Yes, I have several. I've trimmed the borders on and rebacked. Ooh, nice. Well, it's edging. It's not for everyone for sure. Yes, you have to be, in my opinion, very steady-handed and patient and I don't know, I'm not always those things. So I'm going to get there. There are a couple of decks I'm like, you probably should be modified. But when I'm in my new little office setting devoted to my cards, I'll probably be inspired again to start messing with those. So that's it. That's all of my top 10 Oracle, my top 10 tarot. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing this, today because I just like talking about these things. And of course, over time, things change. As you see, the first top 3 were decks I created. I have told people in the past that I may consider like making them available on Make Playing Cards if people wishes to purchase them. They are stock photos, so I wasn't really a big fan of that. One day I'd like to create my own Oracle deck. And I've already started working on a guidebook and the keywords and phrases. I just need an artist. I need to finally make that happen. But yeah, all the rest of the decks are pretty much available. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure you can get all of them. I might be wrong about 1 or 2. So yeah, I'm just thank you all so much for hanging in there. This is a long live, but I figure I would just do it all in one video because I couldn't guarantee when I would be able to sit down and do this again in the future. And so 2021 is slipping past. And yeah, I want to hear from you all, even if you're watching this on a replay later. What decks work for you for your love readings, whether you read professionally or not? I am thinking about doing just a quick short video in the future about doing love readings for yourself. In the Facebook group, one of our great members was asking questions about that, and it's a little different, same but different considerations. So we'll keep a lookout for that. And yeah, I just adore you guys. You are so welcome. Thank you. I love talking decks. I could have you guys here for hours and hours, but I won't. I kept you long enough. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Nina. I thank you for finding my channel and hanging with me. I appreciate you. All right, guys, that's it. That's all. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all around. Take good care. Till next time. Bye.